Welcome everyone back to another episode of the Student to Life Podcast, where learning and unlearning has no limits. I'm your host Stretch, and Shan is not here today, but I got my partner, my business partner, my brother in the building today. About to chop it up about a lot of business, a lot of great stuff going on. We got Aldian Otto, my brother Al in the building. Al, what's going on, my guy?
Chilling, man.
Thank you for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so all our guests that come on, we ask them this question just to hear the variety and different answers that everybody has to this question. Our podcast is called Students Alive Podcast.
Right.
So when you hear the name Students Alive, what meaning comes to mind?
Okay. So I always feel like to me, it's really, obviously when you go through life, you're consistently learning. So for me, it just seems like it's bridging the gap between consistently learning all throughout the rest of your life. So to me, it just means that you're forever learning, right? And forever learning, forever growing. That's what it means to me.
A lot of questions I'm gonna ask you today. I already either know the answer.
Yeah. But remember though, I come from that school. What's the school I come from? Because I remember telling you this before.
Yeah, I'm telling me again. So
all right. So I come from the school where the information is to be sold, not told. You remember I told you that?
I understand that, but we
Super
are about
old school with mine.
We're all about teaching people so we can keep it on a level where it's still a little mysterious, but still informational. Yes?
Right. Free. That's all I heard. But all right, let's do it.
So you all understand why we do business. Okay. But we go way back, but for my audience, tell them a little bit about you, like where you started, all this.
Okay. So obviously I'm not as young as this guy sitting next to me.
The gray hairs prove that.
Nah, but I had these since I was, 30. So
Dang, you've been stressed out.
I've been stressed out for a very long time. Absolutely. So I guess a little bit about me. Where can I start? So I don't want to go too far back. Obviously, I wasn't born here in the States. I was born in Jamaica. I was raised in Jamaica. I came here when I was 13. High school, elementary?
Elementary, high school.
Middle school. I did elementary in Jamaica.
You're right.
Middle school, high school, college, military, and lived abroad, came back, and now I'm here. In terms of my business background, came back from the military. I did accounting, finance. I did military pay. I actually worked at Defense Finance and Accounting Services in San Antonio, Texas. That's the part of the government that pays not only the military, but also deals with a lot of the vendors. So that's where my finance background really started. After that, I got a corporate job, was making them a lot of money, realized that they were only paying me a small amount of money, and it was time to move on. So I eventually ended up starting my own business, and now I'm about 15 years in.
So
good, bad, and indifferent.
So was this your first choice? Was finance something you always wanted to do, or just you stumbled upon it?
I just ended up being good at math. I mean, I guess maybe the military did that, right? Because I went into the military and, you have to take the ASVAB. And so I took the test and I qualified for at the time it was 212 jobs. I don't know how many they have now, but at the time it was 212 jobs, qualified for all of it. And they were like, pick one. All right, well, I'm Jamaican. I came from a decent family, but we weren't wealthy or anything, right? So when I looked at it, I was like, what's the closest thing to some money? Finance and accounting. So I picked that. So that's how I ended up doing finance.
So what would you be doing if not this? What are the things?
I'd be an NBA player for sure. For sure. I mean, I'm still at 41 out here killing folks. I just do it once a week now.
Y'all don't listen to
normally
this, don't listen to this, man, about this basketball.
Hey, can we, you know what? Because my knees rested for the week. So now I got fresh knees. Maybe we could go on the court and you could incorporate some of my footage when I'm killing you and incorporate into this. We could do that.
So you play basketball in the military?
Yeah, actually. So what I would do is I would run 5 miles every morning. That was our routine. Went to work, and then when I got off of work at 6 o'clock, I'm going straight to the gym. I'm just hooping.
You never had to be in any conflict in the military, right?
No. So I got really fortunate. Some of my friends didn't, but I got really fortunate. I was actually slated to go to Iraq. And maybe a month before my orders came down, the day for me to leave, I actually got rerouted to South Korea. Because that's when Kim Jong-un at the time, he was test firing nukes. And things were getting kind of hairy. And so I ended up going there, and then nothing happened. But I was actually stationed at the demilitarized zone, which is the border of North Korea and South Korea. So I was living in this city called Dondochan, and it was an exciting time in my life, man. One of the best times. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
Would you go back
to South Korea?
Military.
So it's funny you ask. I think early on in business, when things were tough or much tougher than it is, because business is never easy, I did miss it a lot, to the point where I was like, man, some of my boys, one of my guys right now, he's 42, he's already retired. So he's just sitting, but now he's bored. So now he's calling me like, hey, let's go here. Our lives are different. Like, no matter what you do, you can stay at home, you're going to get that check. I still got to work for mine.
Exactly.
So that wasn't going to work. But
what's the advice? What's the advice would you give to somebody? It's like a young dude that's about to go in the military, and he don't know what to do basically, as far as career choice or even with his money, because a lot of them get money and don't know what to do with it.
Okay.
What would your advice be to them?
I mean, there's so much to unpack in that question though, because you're asking about people with money, young dudes with money. You're asking about dudes who don't have any real direction. So I think I have to maybe like unpack it a little bit, and I'll start with like kids or guys with no direction, right? The easiest thing so as I get older, and my philosophy is maybe a little bit more old school, so hopefully you don't get too much flack for this. But I feel like I'm not even sure if I would want my kids to join the military.
Right. I feel the same.
Only because actually, there's pros and cons, right? The military, you go, they teach you discipline.
Yeah.
You get up, you do it. But as a parent, I feel like that's my job.
Right.
So I don't need the military to do that for my kids, right? I can do that for them. It's definitely a way to earn a living, but it comes at such great risk because you never know what happens. The world is consistently changing.
Right.
With different wars breaking out all over. I just don't know if it's a good time to join the military. However, what I will say is I do not regret my time in the military at all. As a matter of fact, I loved it and I thrived. So I would, like I said, I think it's kind of just depending on your parenting style and what you would want for your own kids.
Let's piggyback into something else, because we had some football players on before, and I watched it back the other day, and I was like, damn, that's how they think. Like, it's crazy. Young dudes with money, and not understanding that your body's what makes you the money, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm talking to these dudes, and I asked them, I was like, yo, so how do y'all recover and take care of yourselves? This man said sleep.
Right.
And I'm looking at him like, bro, you know your body's worth millions of dollars.
Right.
You eat McDonald's, you eat Wendy's and all these things. I'm like, you don't even understand that if you're injured, you're of no use to these people.
I mean, it's two sides of the coins. One, I think, is your upbringing, how they were raised, right? A lot of times they're coming from underprivileged communities, underserved communities, as a matter of fact. So, they're, I don't know if you ever heard of this term. It's called, I don't know why I can't think about it. But basically, it's where in your neighborhood, there's nothing but like corner stores.
Right.
There's really no fresh food, nothing like that.
This tax season, Spectrum Tax Group has merged with our partners, National Tax Preparers of America, to give you the best quality service this tax season. To get your taxes done the right way, go to nationaltaxpreparers.com or find us on Instagram at Spectrum Tax Group or National Tax Preparers and hit us up to get your taxes done today. All right? Peace out. Food deserts.
Right, but food desert. There you go. Right, good. Damn, I should have had that one. Right? Food desert, right? But a lot of times they come from not only food deserts, so a lot of times you're scrambling and you're trying to figure out what's next.
They take the habit with them.
Right, so they're learning all the struggle mentality from their parents, and it's only until recently that kind of started to shift a little bit.
The point I was getting to was like now they come into money and their money management is also terrible because
but we hear the stories all the time though, right?
The
where
first
people
time,
just robbing them all the time.
Right, they're the first time they're coming into money.
Right.
Nobody else in their family has money.
Right.
That's number one. So there's no parents to take your money as an 18-year-old or 17-year-old or 19-year-old and say, hey, we're going to keep the money for you.
Especially with NIL deals and all that stuff happening right now. Yeah.
The parents are going to abuse the money just as bad as they are because they haven't got no financial literacy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm listening to them and I'm like, how do we even fix something like that? Because you don't even know who to trust. Even the accountant's gonna rob them because you cannot read what's on the damn paper when the accountant's showing you that here you losing millions of dollars.
They don't even understand at this point. They probably don't understand, their balance sheets, their income statements, and at the end of the day, as much as it appears like it's just them and their body and they're taking care of their families, I think a part of it that they don't understand is that they're actually running a business, right? And they just kind of get thrown into that CEO role, and it's not until later on they realize some of the mistakes when they get a little bit older. Now they're living in kind of regret, right? And a lot of times they're not surrounded with people who want the best for them.
Right.
A lot of times they're surrounded with people who want the best from them, meaning for themselves, right? So everyone has their hand out. Everybody's trying to get into their pockets because they know that that person has what they would consider, I guess, an unlimited resource, right?
But I feel like it should be mandatory to have a financial literacy class before you graduate high school.
No, I agree with that sentiment, but I think even more in depth, maybe even, because it's going to take some time to get to that point, right? I think even just doing simple things like learning how to manage your credit, learning what your taxes are about and how to even file your own taxes, right? Taxes are just like anything else in this world. It's kind of like purchasing a home, right? You can do it by yourself, but you go get a professional. But at the end of the day, you should probably still know enough about it just so you don't make the wrong choices, right?
And just so people don't take you for a fool.
Of course. And I like the look of twang you put in there. I like that. All right. But at the same time, it's like it's something they definitely need to implement for sure.
Right, but that's why something I feel like I want to use my foundation to do at some point to help like younger inner city kids understand.
But you've been doing pretty good though, because I know you do some mentorship and all that. Do you ever talk about that on here?
Yeah, of course. I talk about my mentoring kids and stuff. Yeah, I talk about it.
Nah, I ain't never seen that episode.
You don't watch it.
No, I watch some of them. I don't watch all of them, but I watch some of them.
All right. I'm going to take your word for it.
You got a couple of people on here that I knew, and like the ones that I was interested in, I was like...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You watch only some of them. I talk about...
So you want me to watch everyone?
Yeah.
All right. I got you.
I want everybody to watch everyone.
Right.
And we always say that be careful who you treat a certain way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everybody's like, if you're not useful, you're useless. So if you're a friend of mine or even somebody I just met and you're around for no apparent reason,
I can't say that though.
I'm gonna say that in the case of business, because a lot of people are here to drain your energy and you gotta learn who that is.
But that's not. But their job is to drain your energy. Your job is to figure out what their usefulness is.
Right.
So if you think they're draining your energy, you're probably just utilizing them the wrong way. Right? Maybe they fit in a different category. If you're hanging around with someone and you feel like they're draining your energy, but you never know when you're not around, that person might want to be next to you, might be talking about you in a very good way behind your back. There's so many different factors and a lot of things you can't control too. Especially in business. Everyone's not gonna like you, bro. I'll be honest.
That's facts.
Even outside of business though, everyone's not gonna like you. I know there's times like, if I make a joke with someone that I've just met for the first time, it goes one of two ways. Really good or really bad. Right? Because either they feel like I'm being facetious or, I'm trying to like, what Jamaicans say? And I try to style them. Right. You know what I mean? So, a lot of times, it just depends. If that person's a jovial person and it goes over a little bit better.
I still just think you have to learn how to treat people, yes, but there's some people that you gotta leave where they at. There's some people that they're just don't make no sense for them to be around you.
I agree with that. But we all kind of fall for that okie doke because we all have friends that we want to pull up every single time. I have one friend for sure. No matter if I'm doing good, bad, or indifferent, that's my guy. And I'm no matter what I'm trying to do, I just figured maybe he just hasn't figured out what his lane is. But no matter what I'm doing, he's always welcome.
But that's kind of different. That's kind of different when it comes to like that's like a personal relationship.
Of course,
It's kind of different.
of course.
But what do you think about mixing friendship and business? Or personal relationships and business?
So the thing is like, okay, you ever heard of survivor's remorse?
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason why I think a lot of people have survivor's remorse is that at some point they have to leave some old relationships behind.
Yeah.
Right? You always hear, oh, you can't take everyone with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not for a lack of trying. Because I think we all, once we get on or we're doing something, we want to put our family and friends on. And what you realize is a lot of times they may not have the same mentality. They may not have the same work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Their drive is different, right? Their motivations are different.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really know that at first, right? And then a lot of times too, if you're excelling at what you do or you're really good at what you do,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they want what you have. It's not necessarily that they want to help you grow or they want to be there to reap the benefits. They just don't like how the universe is bringing whatever it is to you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're thinking, oh, it just kind of happened. But
Right.
they don't understand the work that it takes. They don't understand the late nights. You're up all by yourself. You're planning, you're plotting, you're putting plays together. And a lot of times they don't understand that. They're just seeing the results, and then that's what they want.
I think when you start doing certain things differently and being exposed to a different type of lifestyle, and you start to build yourself in a certain way, like you're reading books, you go into these functions, like you said, stay up late.
Right.
I personally look at you stupid for staying up late and not going out to drink with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they can't relate to you no more.
Yeah.
Like we here having a conversation about finance, and somebody else will come here and just start talking about something that's not of benefit to help any of us.
Yeah, but remember, what's the one common theme with everyone? We're always interested in the things that we are interested in, right? So all 5 of us, 6 of us could be here, but he's interested in something, you're interested in something else, and everyone's trying to bring the conversation to what they feel most comfortable talking about. Sometimes just a lack of comfort.
It's not only that. Like I said, I just think when you elevate, like certain people can't relate to you no more. And that's where the left behind conversation comes into play. Right. Because no matter how much I take you around these business people, you cannot fit in that circle.
Right.
But also you want what I have because you're so close to me. You feel like, how come you have it and I don't?
So let me ask you a question then. I might turn into the interviewer. What do you think about code switching?
I mean, it's necessary.
That's a big thing.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's something you should always do.
I feel like I'm a level 10 code switcher.
Yes, you are.
And that's not a popular thing, but
you do it effortlessly though. I would say that.
Because of kind of how I grew up, right?
Yeah.
Like in so many different places, between being born in Jamaica, in New York, in the military, well-traveled, like I go to different countries, like you kind of take a little bit from everywhere.
Yeah.
But what I realize is like, for example, my Jamaican friends, we're going to talk patois for sure.
All day.
Right? But my friends from New York though, just no sign.
Yeah.
Right?
But think about this for me then. I have to do it. In this setting, I'm one person.
Right.
When we in the meetings and we talking about stuff, I'm a different person. When I'm at parties, I'm a different person.
Right.
When I'm around family, I gotta be a different person.
Sure. Because you can't bring DJ Stretch to all the meetings.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I have to do it.
Right.
But sometimes people code switch because of judgment.
Okay.
So because you walk in a room and it's all white people now, you feel like you have to act a certain way when they would accept you for just who you are.
But why do we feel like that? I think we feel like that because there is some truth to that.
Yeah.
If you go in there and you're bringing all of the hood, I might not go over so well. It just means that you probably won't be able to achieve the goals that you were looking for. We're not necessarily saying don't be comfortable in your skin.
Sometimes it's not just code switching. Sometimes it's just adjusting.
Still code switching. Just maybe you're not at level 10 code switching. You
Because
might be at level 2
there's
or 3.
some people that's loud and obnoxious and all these things when we're around our friends, and we try to do the same thing in every setting. And sometimes you gotta learn when to tone that down. So that's what I said. Sometimes you gotta adjust, not change who you are, but adjust. You know what I'm saying?
No, but you know what it is? Probably just the biggest thing is maybe most people just don't know how to read the room.
No,
and you have to be an expert at reading the room.
That's for me. That's
right?
part of being a DJ. So I could go to a soca party. I got to be a different DJ. I got a hip hop party. Reggae. Everything is different.
And then and that skill set carries you through
everything,
everyday life, and how you navigate different.
Because I cannot go in front of a school of kids to try to mentor them and then start to pull out.
They would love DJ
voice.
Stretch. What you talking about?
Hell no.
They'd be turned up. What? Of course they'd be turned up.
Because now it's going to be entertainment and not education.
Okay.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
So what do you think? All right, go ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna say. I mean, education can be entertaining. If
Of
you know how
course,
to
it
put
can be
together the right
entertaining,
way,
but I feel like some people use it as a distraction. What do you think are some things to maintain a good business relationship? Some good practices.
Networking is important.
Okay.
And sometimes what I've realized too is when you go networking, you don't meet everyone, but you meet some people. And then if you're consistent at some point you're gonna cross paths with the other
The
people
right
that
person.
you didn't get a chance
Right.
to talk
So
to.
how do you maintain those relationships when you meet them? Though? When you meet them, how do you make sure that's long lasting or
I'm
somebody?
gonna be
you could
honest,
call?
man. I don't know if I'm the best. I think I struggle even in my personal life, just reaching out to people who I should reach out to, right? Family, friends. But I think I just kind of live in a present moment,
Right.
and a lot of times, I mean, obviously I should be better at that. You definitely need to do that. So don't be like me. And it's extremely important to kind of maintain those relationships. But what I can say is that the people who like reach out to me, I'm always talking to those people, right? Because sometimes, I may slip a little bit, but if they reach out, and unfortunately, sometimes there's people who feel like they might reach out too much, so they don't want to reach out to you no more.
Right.
And it's just not the case. It's nothing personal. It's just I might be going through a different time in my life. Things aren't always great, and they're never always bad either, right? But people go through things in life, and if I'm not reaching out or calling, I'm probably trying to handle something over here, especially with the lifestyle I live.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was trying to, because she owned a business with a shared partner.
Okay.
She's trying to switch the business to start on her own.
Okay.
But she's the one with the business relationship. She's the one with the contacts, right?
Yeah.
But she's kind of scared to step out because it would have damaged the old business. And I'm like, you are the business because you are the one with the relationships.
Oh, I love where this is going.
Wherever you go, those relationships are going to follow you because they're not loyal to the brand or the name. They're loyal to you person, as the person who owns the business.
Well, but so you have to think about what you just said. How do you grow $1 billion business? You think you can grow $1 billion business by you being the sole person who has all the relationships with everyone? You can never do it.
Right.
I mean, obviously people have built billions, I'm sure of it. And it's taking them a lot of the way by doing it by themselves and building other relationships. Right. But at the end of the day, if you sell a product or, you sell a service, and depending on the volume and the price points that you have, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to do all of that by yourself, especially when you get to a different revenue level, right? So how do you maintain your team or your people? That should be the question.
But the thing is, remember, it's not to get the work done. These relationships are like you knowing everybody to connect with.
No, but all of it is your relationships.
True.
It's your relationships with the people that work with you, for you, the people that you work for, because as an entrepreneur, people think they work for themselves.
But think about it. Me and you own businesses, right? And if somebody wants to do something with us, they're going to call us, not the employees. You get what I'm saying? True. So we are the ones maintaining those relationships. Our relationship with them is totally different because they work for us, but we are the head. So everybody that wants to do business with us, they're talking to us, not them.
Right.
So if they leave, our business is still on the foot.
Well, let me give you a way to kind of solve that problem, right? So I think when you start off in any business, you build personal relationships, you build your client base, right? At some point, you have to figure out how to control how the business comes in.
Right.
And then you're responsible for distributing that work.
That's my point,
right?
Yes.
But even then, you have to figure out a way to get the business to come in, people to purchase or support whatever it is that you're doing. You have to figure out how to generate that business. And sometimes it's not necessarily about your relationships. I think you can only go so far with your relationships as it pertains to sales, right? And in every business you're selling, even if you're in a service-related industry, if you're a hairdresser, if you're a realtor, if you have a product that you sell, right? Everyone's selling something. Even if you're a doctor, you're selling yourself to new clients. It doesn't matter what you do. You're always selling yourself, right? I think that's why sometimes it even comes down to like how you carry yourself, right? Yeah,
but that's what I'm going back to is like the business relationships that we create. For instance, when we used to, me and Brad, we were at another DJ company before. When we left,
Just like everyone, my life is jam-packed. I'm always on the move, but self-care is top priority for me. That's why I'm a part of the Texture Club at my favorite salon. My easy monthly subscription to the Texture Club solves everything.
They're still calling us because we are the face of the business. Like, we have those relationships and that.
So the challenge with that is that the previous companies that you were with, they just didn't have their systems set up the right way.
No, it's more like the relationships that we created. So
I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying if they had a better system of controlling the flow of work and dealing with the different people who hire you guys to DJ, then they would still have a business that's flourishing.
but we were the ones doing that part of it.
Right. And obviously as a DJ, you're going to be out there, you're going to be kind of boots on the ground, you're building the relationship.
Because I always feel like no matter what business you're a part of, you should always try to contribute something to that business. Even when I was working at UPS, I figured out how I could contribute to that business, not just going there to work and go home. Yeah. And that's why they wanted to keep me when I was leaving. They tried to increase my pay and everything.
Yeah, I don't want to undervalue, I would never want to undervalue anyone. I think people are absolutely important to the success of any business. But that goes from, the person on the ground level all the way up into the CEO. It's just everyone has different roles. I think the challenge sometimes is like at certain points, people just don't understand what their role is at that moment. Right. And roles will change all the time. You just have to know what your role is and do that effectively.
I remember I was listening to Jim Rohn, and he was talking about that one employee or that one person that works for you that is going to outshine everybody. He's going to go the extra mile to make sure the business is successful. That's the person who's going to always elevate more and more. And you come there for 2 weeks and you outwork everybody on the floor. And now you're a supervisor, you're a manager, you're a partner in the company that all these people could have been if they had put the extra time in. You get what I'm saying? So that's the thing when it comes to people who you work with or work for you and people who are just there to just do the work.
It's tough too when you run a smaller business. Everyone that comes into your small business feel like they should be a partner. Right. They don't understand the size and scalability of your business, right? So your business might be small, it can be scalable really fast, but when you're at the struggle times, if your business is making, let's say even 500,000, it's not a big business. Right. How many people can you truly hire? Like, think about it. If you hired the right positions and you're paying someone how many people can you pay 60,000?
Not much.
You can't pay a lot of people 60,000.
You're not going to have no profit.
Right? Because remember, that 500,000 that came in, you didn't factor in taxes, right?
Plus
so immediately you're going to have to factor in taxes. Now, if you bring them on, depending on how you bring them on, let's say you bring them on as an employee making 60,000. You as the employer, you're contributing a lot to paying additional taxes for that person, right? Unemployment taxes, a lot of different things that a lot of people don't factor in.
Right, plus
so when they look at it and say, oh my God, he just made $500,000 for the year, he's doing well, they don't understand, first of all, you have a life, right? You have to live. You have to pay whoever you're going to pay. Let's say your salaries, in order to make that 500,000, you have to figure out what is it going to cost you to make that.
Right.
Is it going to cost you 200,000, 300,000? Right. And sometimes people expect that on the first, to even make it 5 years is tough. To make it 10 years, almost impossible. How many businesses don't make it to that 10-year mark? And the last couple of years, we've had the most entrepreneurs we've ever seen.
In the pandemic.
We also had the most people going back to work, right?
Because they don't understand that, like, let's go and piggyback into the next question. Because a lot of people don't get the sacrifice, man, that goes into being a damn business owner. And a good business owner, that is. Not somebody that's just hustling.
Right. And there's a huge
big difference between hustling and doing business.
Yeah.
Right? We're going to get into that too.
For sure.
How, like, we know, but want to tell them, how does owning a business affect our personal and real life? You know,
you want to go first?
I could go first,
yeah,
man.
How does owning a business affect your personal life?
Like, me, like, I'm into different businesses. And even with the DJ side, we don't get holidays. Holidays is our busy season.
Right.
You know, Christmas comes and everybody's having family dinner.
But also being a DJ is kind of fun though, so I don't know. I don't know if that's like the best example.
Yeah, but there's nothing like family, man. There's nothing like having your family around. You know what I'm saying? So you can't compare both because you know the love that you have for your family, that's never gonna go anywhere. Especially if you have kids. You have kids, so you understand. You rather spend time with
my babies are my everything. Man.
Exactly my point. So we're sacrificing that time to be out at work. You know, when we want to be hanging out, we want to be doing what everybody else is doing, but we can't. We have some friends that might be playing ball today, and we're like, nah, bro, I gotta get this work done.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I definitely got those friends, man.
You want to go on a date, and you're like, shorty, I gotta tell you this right now.
Right.
Like a lot of business owners right now don't have furniture in their house. They're sleeping on a freaking broke bed to survive because they're trying to make it.
Right.
The business don't start out good all the time. You know, sometimes we're struggling, but we believe in our brand and our product that it's gonna work. And these are the sacrifices that it comes with.
Well, then now you bring up a good point, because how do most businesses alleviate themselves of that initial stress for money? You gotta go, you know, despite, you know, unconventional or just despite what people think. You might want to go get a loan to start your business.
We're gonna get to that too,
right?
But we're just gonna deal with we're gonna deal with this one first.
Okay.
Or it affects our personal.
So how it affects my personal life? I guess I'll take a shot at answering that question. For me, man, I love my babies a lot.
Yeah.
I definitely don't give them the time that they need with me. No, that they want with me. I always give them the time. So there's a couple of perks to being an entrepreneur, own your own business, right? Is that not only do you control the cash flow that comes in, but you also control your time. It's just that you may have to invest more of your time at work than you do outside. However, I've never missed any of my baby's events, like whatever. My daughter, she just graduated from the Cambridge program, right? So that means she goes to college with 60 college credits already, just out the gate. Full scholarship, room and board, everything. This girl owes me nothing. I owe this girl everything.
Everything,
right? But I've never missed anything for her.
Right.
And I've never missed anything for my kids, right? That's a big priority in my life.
But you would want to be there more, though.
Huh?
You would want to be there more.
For the fun stuff, though.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like I want to be there. You know, I want to pick them up from school every day. I can't do that. Fortunately for me, though, I have a great relationship with my ex, and you know, she's an amazing mother. She does a lot of the parts that I'm no good at.
Right.
And you know, she holds it down. But you know, so like picking up from school or stuff like that. I try to do it though. I surprise them because they like when I surprise them.
Right.
You know, so I'll surprise them every now and then. I'll call their mom and I'll say, hey, make them car riders today. I'm gonna go pick them up.
But you know what? One thing I learned too, and I learned this from working with you about when you own a business and manage your own time. Now you don't have anybody telling you that you need to do this. You have to figure out the things that need to be done. Yeah, and you get what I'm saying?
And the minute you sit there, start catching up on this new series and Game of Thrones, and you get hooked.
Or getting caught scrolling on the phone. You're like, damn, I had some stuff
and
to do.
Then the next day you go in, now you in there working till midnight again.
Exactly.
I think one thing I think a lot of people should also learn how to control is, and I know this is an indictment on myself too, but procrastination is a big killer, bro. Because no matter what, the deadlines are gonna come. No matter what, you have to get it done. And if I procrastinate, if I have something that I could do now, and I decide, hey, I'm gonna do it tomorrow because it's due tomorrow, and it takes me 5 minutes.
Right.
Not only is the procrastination playing a factor in, I may or may not get it done because something else might come up, but there's such an anxiety because now you're thinking about it the entire time. So the little break that you think you're getting because you're not gonna do it now and you could do it tomorrow, it's probably just easier to just get it done.
I mean, the book I'm reading, the discipline book, it talks about procrastination like a habit that you develop.
I'm ready to get rid of that.
So you start this small with the procrastination, like, all right, give me like 5 minutes, then you go, give me like an hour, and then the next thing is like the next day, and the next day, like the next 2 days, 3 days, and a week, then you go from a week to a month for something that's important. You know, so the more you put off things, it becomes a habit.
Yeah, I agree.
And he said the same thing with discipline. It becomes a habit. So the more you train your discipline, the stronger it is. So we talk about working out. That's how I train my discipline. Is a part of it.
Yeah.
Understanding that, a lot of times I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do this stuff a lot of times. But not even when I don't want to do it, I'm like, yo, you got to get up.
Man,
you got to go.
Every day I'm like, I'm going to go today.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
And
it's an exercise, man.
Yeah, or I'm going to go tomorrow, but then tomorrow I'll be like, you know what? Nah, let me just go tomorrow. Man, tomorrow I'll never show up.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. So it's like doing it. And like the discipline is gonna tell you that first thing you do, get up in the morning, put your shoes on, go to the gym. Don't think about it, just make it up. Reflex.
Right.
First thing. That's what the book tells you. Now, for me, I just know I'm gonna go because I know
that's
how
a habit though. You've developed that over years, so you're just gonna go regardless.
Exactly. So
most people so how do you get the fat person who don't go? They don't go all the time. How do you get them to go?
Let's figure out what's important to them. Is it important?
Yeah, the food, bro. That's why we fat.
That's my point. What's more important, right? If you think about it, if you have a family, you're trying to live long to see your family grow old and be successful. That's in the back of your mind a lot of times, thinking about if I'm not healthy, if I'm in the hospital, if I'm sick, if I'm dying, I don't get to enjoy these things. I don't get to see these things. You're putting off taking care of yourself to do all this work. But if you're in the hospital, nothing is getting done at all. And you're behind on all of this because you decided to go do this thing instead of go take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a tough balance between. I mean, I think obviously if you're eating healthy and you're working out consistently, I think things are easier. But I'm not gonna say that it's the easiest thing when you run a business.
I think the problem is with a lot of us is our time management. I think working out, you can take you literally 20 minutes to do a workout. You don't have to take you an hour.
Right.
So you could literally, before you go to work or after, a lot of people don't like going after because of the long day and you're tired.
Right.
I loved going after because
I like going after too.
It helped me to sleep at night. So going before for me, so I like it too, but I work out shorter when I go in the mornings because I know I have a long day. My workout has to be.
I don't like working out by myself.
I love it.
I hate
when
it.
I have these headphones in my ears and blasting I don't want to talk to nobody.
I want to work out. I want to talk I want to talk about a lot of different things when I'm working out.
I like,
and you want somebody to push you too.
You know what I do now? I listen to podcasts when I work out now.
Really?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts. So that's where I'm at. Now let's get into our topic now, which is taxes. Let's say, for instance, you've been sick, or you can't work, or you're a stay-at-home dad. Let's use that for instance, right? And you haven't done anything for the year.
But remember, what comes before the word tax? Income.
Income, right? So
at the end of the day, if you don't have no income,
but
you technically can't file taxes.
What we're gonna go back to is, what if you didn't file 2019, 2020 because you didn't work? Do you have to go back to file those 2 years?
No, but what are you filing if you don't have no income?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking you.
I got you. I got you on this one.
That's like I said, we're gonna learn something new today. That's
I got you. So at the end of the day, man, this is really what it boils down to. Most people work, and everyone they have to file taxes. If you work, you got to file your taxes, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. That's just kind of how the system is set up. You got to do it, right? Taxes are never gonna go away. You don't want to fall into a scenario where you can dig yourself out of a tax situation, right? But for most people, as long as you work, you have a W-2, pay your taxes, you're gonna, and obviously there's different things that get you money back, right? And I think in our community, a lot of people rely on the easier credits, right? You're looking at
Kids.
the child tax credit, you're looking at earned income credit, if they're college credits, different things. But taxes get a little bit more. If you have a really good preparer, they can find you other credits. A lot of times people are buying these new electric cars. There's credits for that as well. Right.
But that's I want you to pause right there.
Matter of fact, let me go. No, but I'm gonna go back. I think a big thing for people to understand too is the difference between a credit and a deduction. Right. And I think the easiest way to do it is just really give examples of each, right? So if I have $0 and I get a credit of $700 as it pertains to taxes, that means that the government just gave me $700. Boom,
Right.
I'm good. Okay. Same zero. If they give me a deduction of $700
Now you're
and I
negative.
got zero, it can't be a negative. I just can't. It can't do anything for me because what a deduction is now it's different. If I had $1,000
You can take it out.
and
of
I
that.
get a deduction of $700, now I'm only getting taxed on $300.
All right.
That's the difference. Now, how you get money back on both is because, well, if you've been paying taxes on the $1,000 and you get a deduction of $700, technically you're gonna get the difference of the taxes of $1,000 and $300.
All right, so it goes back to the original point I was making. There's some people that didn't work, but there are credits that you could file for them.
But
so
you
they-
can't get the credits if you don't work.
no credit at all, not even for child tax credit.
How they gonna get that? It's based on your income. It's prorated based on income.
Okay,
So they have to have income.
so even if you have kids and you don't work, you're not getting anything back.
In underserved communities, a lot of times tax time is a really good time for them if they have kids, only because they might file for those kids, or they listen. I'm not here to say what people are out here doing, right? But I've been in this game for a very long time, and so you see different things. I remember I left my the first tax company I worked with. This was 13, 14 years ago. And they were just like filing people's taxes, but the people never worked. But the reason they were filing it was to get them the money back from the earned income credit, right? But that's why they implement things like, that's why as a preparer, you have, like you really got to know your client. You got to ask your due diligence questions, right? Because
Right.
you want to make sure that what they're telling you is accurate. And it's your responsibility too to know if they
What
lying
about
to you or
college
not.
college kids that didn't work, but they still have to get the
Yeah, but a lot of times their parents are gonna
Do this?
their parents are gonna claim them because normally up until 24 your parents could claim you, and that's how they end up getting the money for they still get the the EIC for it.
so
They
it's
still
up
get the
until
college money,
24.
yeah, for sure.
Okay, so if you
As long
have-
as you're in college, it's different. Once you're in college,
okay, so what age for a regular child can you file for them?
at 17 they don't get anything.
Okay.
So 16 would be like your last year.
So like 15 and 11 months. Or
They still get it.
Or
16 and 11 months.
Okay.
Absolutely. And also, if, let's say, she had a baby in December, she could still claim that baby.
Yeah.
Because
it's in that
technically,
tax
even
year.
though it was in her stomach, you can still,
Yeah.
they still allow it.
A lot of people would say when you get to a certain tax bracket, you don't get no taxes back, right?
I think that's true. Well, okay, so there's so many different scenarios. If I make $300,000 and I pay taxes on $300,000, but I never claimed any dependents, and now I got dependents, I have a home that I could claim the property taxes, I could claim the mortgage interest, and then I have a rental property and I could claim write off all of that stuff. Now, after all the deductions, now I'm getting money back. So I don't know if it's necessarily that after you hit a certain income bracket. I just think it's how you set yourself up for taxes. And I think that what people don't understand when it comes to taxes, you can't come to me tax time trying to figure it out how we gonna get this money. You have to plan for the next year.
And they're going to ask you this is
Yeah.
the most popular question. What can you add to get me more money?
What can you add? How can you? And a lot of people, what they'll do is they won't stick with one person. They'll just keep going to whoever is
Right.
getting them
The most.
But the problem with that, at some point, they end up getting in problems,
Mm-hmm.
right? At some point, if they just keep going to these random. So what I would say is find a good company. Find a company that's been around for a while. And some years you'll have good years. Some years you'll have bad years. But if you're working with that person consistently, then you're talking about the next year.
Yeah.
And you're planning on doing that.
That's their main thing is like, I'm going with the person that's getting me the most, but they have no education how that person is getting them the most.
The crazy part too is like when people say getting me the most, I think they don't understand that no matter what, they're getting the money.
Yeah.
So if they say, hey, on their W-2, they're gonna have 5 kids. So they get all the 5 dependents. I shouldn't say kids. 5 dependents. right?
Because dependents could be kids,
it
disabled.
Could be, whoever you're taking care of, family members, just depends on how you legally take care of them.
So if your person had their grandma, they could file as them as a dependent. If they're taking care of them.
But they wouldn't get like certain credits for it. They can get deductions and stuff like that, but they wouldn't get credit for it.
Okay.
But in terms of taxes and how taxes work, honestly, man, it's really about just planning. So like if somebody comes to me and they're brand new, I'm gonna ask them, okay, what is your goal? What is it that you want to accomplish? Do you just want a big fat refund? Because then I'm just gonna do it straightforward, and whatever you get. Right. And I think you should do taxes where whatever the person's giving you, that's what you got to do, right? Like you have a responsibility where you can't just be out here finessing stuff, man. You just got to kind of do. You got to do it.
Because down the road you're gonna have some problems.
Yeah. And then a lot of times too, like if someone comes to me and they say, hey, I was self-employed and they don't have any pay, because there's people who handle cash all the time. Think about it. You have dancers. You think dancers are great bookkeepers? You think they're gonna keep? She's over here making $2,000 a night. You think she's keeping track of that? No. There's people who have car wash services. They might be a little bit better because now they can electronically charge people, but a lot of times that's still a cash-based business, right?
Right.
So a lot of times what I do is if they don't have any paperwork, I just work with them to build a reconstruction of income and expenses, right? So basically what that person's telling me is, hey, I make X amount, and these are all my expenses, and then I have them sign and date. And
we'll just call it Schedule C. We'll put it on the Schedule C, like the small business form. So,
but you can't be on here talking about Schedule C. I mean, how many tax people know about Schedule Cs right now? Yeah, other than if you're like in that profession or you filed taxes before.
But I still want people to know that. That's
so I mean, the IRS allows you to claim cash as income, right? And you do that by, like, for example, you can be a sole proprietor. You can do a Schedule C even if you don't own a business, right? Because you can be a sole proprietor.
So let me break it down for them. Schedule C is basically...
I wasn't breaking it down good.
No. What I'm saying is Schedule C is actually basically the write-off form. When they say write-off stuff, that's basically the form that we put all your cash expenses on.
Right, but you can't... Schedule C isn't meant to be used in every instance. No. It's meant to reconcile... if you're earning cash.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with a W-2.
No.
Right? The only time you can really use a Schedule C is for self-employment.
Right, small business.
So, or you use it if you have a side hustle. Mm-hmm. So you might have your day job and then you have a side hustle.
Does it have to be LLC like certified with the state?
No, because you can be a sole proprietor. And, if you're out here doing hair, you don't need to set up a company to do hair, but you're getting paid cash and you're earning income. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the IRS allows you to claim cash. So,
So what about for the people that, like, a lot of people, they employ the people in their house. So your kids will get an income.
I always see the things, and they're not wrong. I forgot the total dollar amount. I want to say it's like $11,000 to $13,000 or something that you can pay people in your household, but you got to actually pay them, right? Like, I think a big thing with taxes is everybody's scamming. Even though it don't sound like it's scamming, they out here scamming because what they doing? If they got kids, they're going to figure out how to get the money for their kids. I would just caution people to be careful about that because what ends up happening is you can get audited and they're going to swoop that money right back. Now you're in debt with the IRS.
What do you think about setting up a payroll schedule, like a company, working with a company?
Yeah, I love payroll companies, actually. There's a couple out there. The two that really comes to mind, I think, would be Paychex and ADP.
Mm-hmm. And they help a lot with organizing finances as far as...
Yeah, for sure. If you're a small business and you want to be kind of on the right side, I think dealing with a payroll company is good. But not only that, you can deal with an accounting firm or a tax company that can help you with that, right?
Which we can.
We get better deals. Yeah, because we get better deals through ADP, and we just pass that along to our business clients.
Right. We have accountants, bookkeepers, tax, everything, business consulting.
I feel like you're doing a commercial right now.
Yes, I am.
Are you really?
Just let these people know what we offer. We offer business consulting, business funding, tax, accounting, bookkeeping, whatever you need on the financial side.
Okay.
We can help them out. So we're just letting them know.
I'll let you tell it.
All right. Talk about the consulting side a little bit.
Yeah. So I've been in business for a long time. Been doing several businesses, right? Some good, some bad. But I think what consulting consists of is all your experience, right? The good, the bad, indifferent, right? So what I've started doing is obviously I've helped some people get some capital before. So I think a lot of our focus is geared towards helping businesses, being organized, putting them together enough so they can go secure capital and truly achieve whatever goal that they're looking to achieve, right? And we really do that in one of four ways. So, we'll help them with grant writing. We partner with another firm that focuses on IPO. So if there's a company that wants to go public, we can work with them to take them public.
When you say public, you mean like on the stock
Like
market?
stock market, stock exchange, right? And sometimes it can be alternative IPO, right? It could be an exchange that may not be in the States, right? But what I would do is I don't do that myself, right? So even though we have partnerships, they handle that side of things. I don't get into anything that, first of all, anything with the SEC,
It's a long
ugly
process
business.
there.
And you definitely have to be, qualified and overqualified, and you have to do things a certain way. So I think when it comes to things like that, I always turn that over to the professionals. But I think for my part, we can, use the resources that we have. And obviously because, we have accounting resources and stuff like that, we're able to kind of help them get their financials together. Maybe it's doing their income statements, balance sheets, stuff like that. And then, so that's only two ways, right? Grant writing, we do some alternative IPO, we do debt, right? Which is probably the easiest and what we really focus on with our clients is getting them organized in a way to obviously make sure it's legit, right? Because they have to give you their statements. It's just a lot of smaller businesses, they don't take the time to organize themselves, right? They don't know what their profit and loss look like every 3 months. For us, we might even do that for a client on a monthly basis if that's what they want, right? But you need to know when your money's coming in, how much is coming in, how much is going out, what your expenses are, and then what your P&L will also tell you is, okay, I have a lot of money going here, but I'm not making a lot of money off of it, even though I'm spending money here. Maybe I can divert some of that cash into things that are actually generating revenue for us.
So if you have money sitting on and you need to put it somewhere in an investment or whatever it is, we have a side of the business that could actually help them with that. Y'all already see what I'm wearing today. It's called Kuya Clothing. You can find them online at kuya.com or on Instagram at Kuya Clothing. And if you're in Jamaica, check out their stores that they got in Kingston and Montego Bay. You'll never regret it. They got a lot of designs that you can choose from. Real authentic Jamaican brand. So go online and check them out at kuya.com. Peace out.
Well, what I always recommend for people is cash flowing assets, right? And you could, if you have money, you can make your money work several different ways. One of them, I think, is lending it to other businesses with need. As long as you go through that business, you make sure that obviously they're valid, they've been around for a while. Maybe the principal has a good credit score. Just really evaluating that business and make sure that they can pay you back, right? So one way you could go about is just lending that money out. Another way is, to me, I feel like real estate is a big deal. And not at every time you buy real estate, you're looking to gain off of the equity, right? Because a lot of people, we've always been taught like, hey, you buy a house at 500 in a few years, and I'm just making numbers up at this point. In a few years, it'll be worth $1 million. You just made 500,000. I think the part that a lot of people overlook is the cash flow aspect of things, right? And when it comes to the cash flow, it's, hey, if you invest your money in real estate, even if it appreciates very slowly, if you have a high enough cap rate, meaning, the amount of money that that's coming in, that you're taking in, you can literally just live off of the income that's actually coming in, and you don't have to solely depend on the equity that's there.
Okay, that makes sense. And a part of that, a lot of these things is getting your credit sorted out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff you can't do without good credit, though. So I think that's probably, even as a first step, that's what I would tell people to do is get their credit in order.
Which we also do credit repair for good credit.
Yeah, I think anything financially related, I think we take a good stab at it. I think we're pretty good at it. We've been doing it for a while.
And I think that's why I think we are the best company to do your taxes with. Because you get your credit done, you get a credit repair.
Right.
We basically consult you on how to
Oh,
go
so
about.
you're telling them when they come do taxes with you and your company that they're going to get credit repair, all of that? Or?
They're not getting it free. No, we're just
I
directing
mean, that's what it sounds, because I was coming to do my
No,
taxes
we're-
now because I'm like,
we're just
I'm getting
directing
all of
you
this
to-
for free. Like, what's going on?
We're a one-stop shop. You
Okay.
can pay for everything at the one spot. Yeah.
So the way I look at it too is like what separates these tax companies? Because every year new people get in the tax business. It's such a high turnover thing. And people get into it because they try to make a quick buck. A lot of them are not around. It's a lot of hard work. It's like I said, the entrepreneur life.
I've seen the toll it takes on
Yeah.
because I've been there. Like the dealing with, it's personal. It's more personal to people because it's their personal finances.
Of course.
So a lot of times they just stress you out about little things, and it's like,
Well, remember, a lot of people too. I mean, you can't even. I wouldn't hold that against anyone, because during tax time, what do people look forward to?
the money.
Remember, they just went through December,
Yeah.
and if you
Spent
got kids
all that
like
money.
me, and you love your babies, man, you don't even have to like those kids sometimes. Like, you're getting them everything, right?
What would you say to
Oh.
somebody like a mom, like a single mom, for instance, getting back 8 grand?
I mean, that happens. That's not like out of the norm.
No, I'm saying, what would you say to them? Because a lot of people, they just get the money in this. Because
But see, in the tax business, what they don't tell you is, depending on how badly you need that tax return, depends on how much you're going to pay for it. Because if you look at months like January, early part of February, sometimes people are at the point where they actually need to take that cash advance. And yeah, you're getting an advance on your tax refund, but that's also coming at a cost. And a lot of people don't
that's what I'm
understand.
talking. I'm more talking about advice on what to do with their money.
Okay, so if you have babies and you're getting back 10 grand, that means you haven't been making a lot of money. You should probably take them babies on a vacation so they get a decent quality of life, and then save the rest and let it tide you over.
Because I've seen people, like, we have, as our community, we have a consumer mentality. We're not investing.
Yeah,
as
but think
much.
about it. All right, if someone's getting $10,000, that means they didn't make a lot of money throughout the year, and that means if they have 3 kids, they're getting upwards of 7 grand. And maybe they made, 30,000 ish, and they paid taxes on 30,000. So now they're getting back taxes they paid. So they end up with around 10, 11,000, whatever. I mean, there's other factors to consider,
Right.
obviously. But at that point, if you have 3 kids and you only made 30 grand, I can't tell you what to do with 10 grand, because you need to live. If you think about, well, listen. I don't know about other states, but let's talk about even just South Florida. I mean, what's a 2-bedroom running right now? What's a 3-bedroom running in terms of rent?
4 grand maybe.
3,000-4,000, easily, right?
For what? A 3? Damn.
20. That's a good.
Nah, I thought it was more than that.
If someone tells you 27 for a 3-bedroom, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Don't ever leave that
I
place.
haven't seen that
unless
in years.
you buy.
I haven't seen that in years.
No, that's not even around anymore.
I'm telling you, but
Yeah.
3-bedroom? Nah.
In a good neighborhood? Yeah, Atlantic. Really?
Okay. Coral Springs area for 27. Wow.
So I mean, I'm not saying it's not out there. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
definitely
understand.
out there.
I didn't like.
But I don't think that's the
Right.
norm, right? I think that's more like the diamond in the rough kind of
Right.
situation.
That's what I'm saying.
So imagine that. All right, let's say a woman makes 30,000. She got 3 babies. She got to take. First of all, that woman needs government assistance, because if she's even paying 3,000, what's 3 times 12? 36.
36.
$36,000. She only made 30,000. Where's she getting the other 6,000 from?
Exactly.
That doesn't include light, food, car insurance, because they require you to have car insurance. They're gonna cancel your license. Car payment if she has a car payment, right? I don't even know how possible it is to have 3 kids and make 30,000.
But if you think about it, you do.
I mean, people pull it off.
Yeah, dude, that's my point.
But they're always. But that's why they live tax season to tax season.
Yeah,
because now maybe they make 30,000. They're in deficit another 10,000. So when the tax money, the 10,000 from taxes come in, they're repaying old debts only to get back. It's a cycle.
Yes, And that,
The only solution to that is make more money.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
true.
right?
Never even thought about it that way, though. I thought about it more like if you're living off this income for the whole year, you can put some aside. But then you think about it,
Not at 30,000.
That's probably what's helping them to get to the next tax season.
Correct. That's
So,
exactly what's
actually,
helping them
yeah,
to get to
that's
the
a
next
good
tax
point.
season. Yeah, I think so. It kind of goes back to your original point where remember when you were bringing up someone who makes a lot of income that they always are gonna owe the IRS. Well, it's true. It's not the more money you make, the more money refund you get. It's the more money you make, the more you owe in taxes. And a lot of times you're gonna end up owing because your employer, if you do have one,
Right.
they're not taking out enough taxes. And if you're self-employed, unless you're savvy and you're paying quarterlies, most people aren't doing that.
So what's the best advice for like business owners when it comes to filing taxes and being organized? Because I realized even over the years, like you said in the pandemic, there was so many small businesses, but they were not organized at all.
It's strategy, right? It's really about strategy, right? Small business in terms as it relates to taxes it's all about strategy, right? And it depends on what it is that you want to accomplish as a small business. If you're okay with paying the taxes because you're going to use the money that you're making during the year to make some moves so you can make more money so you can pay your taxes, cool. But if you're not great at that and you know, hey, for the entire year I'm going to make X amount of money, then you probably want to set up one of those payroll services. You probably want to make yourself an employee. So you're at least there's tax withholdings that are coming out. And then at the end of the year, even when you're going to go file self-employed or you have a single member LLC and you got to do a Schedule C, then at least some taxes have been taken out and you don't owe as much as you would normally. Or sometimes you get a refund.
Right.
That's a kind of a cheat code to get in a refund as a single member LLC is you just get a payroll service, you put yourself as an employee, and you just pay taxes like an employee.
Because some people want to do it themselves. Some people want to do it themselves.
Deductions,
they never
you end up getting taxes back.
A lot of people want to do it themselves and never actually do it. They want to pay quarterly taxes, and they never really do it.
But quarterly is a good way to help because sometimes you pay on quarterly, but then when you reconcile everything at the end of the year, you still get back a refund.
That's what I'm saying. But a lot of people say they're gonna do it, but never.
Yeah, until they have to cut the check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that is where I would let people know to get a payroll company if you want to make it easier for yourself, or an accountant.
Yeah, like we do that for our clients. Like if we help them take care of their 1099s and stuff like that. If they have to pay out other contractors and stuff like that, if they have employees, we help them with the W-2, all of that.
What about a cash-based business? What would be that would be also be advice to try to deposit that money and get a payroll company to pay yourself?
So what I would do too is for cash-based companies, right? Depends on how do you want to grow, but just remember, people like records of things. So if you're running a cash-based business, you should probably make deposits into your bank account so that way you can actually reconcile it, right? It's either that. I mean, if you go get a loan, you think they're gonna say, "Hey, show me your book where you wrote down what was happening."
Or show me the money.
No, they're gonna ask you for your bank statements, right?
That's
if your bank statements don't match, your credit scores don't match, you're not gonna get that.
Right. Let's finish off with credit. Now, we know a lot of people start out. I think the lowest score you can have is what 350, and the highest is 820.
850.
850, right? So, what's the best way to start?
The best way to start? Use your family and friends who mess with you like that. So the most difficult thing I think we have in our communities is we don't really talk about money. We don't talk about our personal credit. We don't talk about things like that early on. So if I'm 15, 16, 17, I'm going into adult. I wouldn't even start that young. 18. As soon as I hit 18. People with good credit, you should, if you're having those conversations when you're younger, or older folks are having those conversations with younger people, then they know that, hey, they can add them as an authorized user and they can get the benefit of their good credit history or their utilization to help someone start, because you can do that and your score would go up. On the opposite side of that, you can't do that with someone who has terrible payment history or their utilization is extremely high, because then you're gonna start off in a bad place.
Yeah, because credit history and utilization is like the chunk of your credit, right?
Right, and no credit and bad credit is pretty much the same thing. really no difference.
And so like I was saying, the timeline that you have credit, which is the credit history, and the utilization, we usually try to keep it 10%, 5%.
No, so I think ideally you want to be right around, like if you're trying to get perfect credit, you want to be under 20% utilization, right? When you really get to it, 10% is a good number. But who can use 10% of credit? Okay, first of all, let's go back to utilization and even what that is, right? And a basic example, I always like to use like small numbers that are kind of round so people understand. But basically, $1,000, a 20% utilization, you can only use $200 of a $1,000 limit that they give you on your credit card.
Right.
So imagine what most people are thinking. It's like, bro, they just gave me $5,000. I'm about to go ball out. No, they gave you $5,000, but you really can only. You really should only. I like 20. A lot of people will tell you, 30%, and 30% is where it starts negatively impacting you once you go over that. But you want to keep it somewhere around 20%. So I say use 20% of whatever your available limit is.
So what I've read in research is when it comes to your credit, you should never spend, you should never use the credit that you don't have the money to actually pay back. So
that's kind of like one of the tricks. So a really easy trick is you don't have to use your debit card. You can use your credit cards consistently. Right. But what you do is you just use it, but then you just pay it right away. Because they're always going to be linked to a bank account anyway.
So sort of pay back. So she was saying pay back before the next billing cycle. For the next billing cycle hit. So if you use...
And there's 2 dates that people sometimes mix up. Sometimes they mix up their due date and then their report date.
Yeah.
So technically, it's not make the payment before the due date. It's make it before the report date. You have to find out when the credit card companies, or if you have a loan, you have to know when they report it to the credit bureaus. Yeah. And you have to pay it a few days before that. Like you can't just say, they report on the 17th, so I'm going to pay it on the 16th, because you have to also give them their systems time to update and then report it accurately.
I know she also talked about the different types of credit reports, because you have the mortgage, and then you have the auto, and you have...
So you had a credit person out here?
No, I actually was researching for myself. So.
Okay.
You taught me a lot of it.
I got you.
But I went and did some research for myself, and she was talking about, I would think she said one is a 3, one is a 5, and one is like an 8.
All right, so I'll give it. So I like to do things in simplified terms, right? Kind of helps everybody grasp the information. And really and truly, okay, so let's talk about trade lines, right? If you're out there, you always hear trade lines. Trade lines are just really anything that really reports to your credit. And there's different types of things, right? And they're all different. So credit cards would report. Then you would have a mortgage or a card payment. They're all different. They're all weighed differently on your credit. But I think in terms of just kind of understanding it, I think that's just the easiest way to kind of explain it. Okay. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. I mean, like I said, everybody needs to have that in order to, if you want to do things a certain way.
Yeah, and you have to have a great mix, right? So you can't just have like 5 credit cards, and even if you're paying great, your credit score is great. But you know maybe your utilization is low, so your credit score is great, but that don't mean they're gonna give you anything. You have to have a good credit mix. That counts for a big part of it too.
Is there such a thing as a credit that can't be fixed?
Nah, it's just gonna take a long. If it's really bad, it's just gonna take longer. But you know what a big myth is that I don't understand, because I don't see it on the internet. It's expensive to fix your credit. Nobody's telling people this. Like, all right. Figure if you're paying a company, let's say they charge $200 as a setup fee to start, and then you're paying like $100 a month. Okay, in 6 months, how much is that? $800, because you paid $200, and then for each 6 months, actually $700, because that first month, that setup counts, and then the 5 months,
But still the $800 that's coming out of your pocket.
So that's still $800, right? You at least have to have that. But then what about the other factors? What about the other costs, right? So for example, the credit repair process itself is, when you're dealing with a company, that it's going to cost you. And by the way, you can fix your credit yourself too.
Right.
But it's tedious, and you have to stay on top of it. And it's such a pain that most people just don't want to do it. right? So if you find a company that can do that for you, then you just pay them to do it, right? And I'm sure you're gonna plug all the links and everything, right? So that's why I'm not, I'm
still. I mean, at the end of the day, we're one business, sir. So like I said, forever good credit is the business you should go to get your credit.
I got you. I like the shout out, but I like other people doing it. Yeah, but I want to finish what I was saying though. So when it comes to like the cost of credit repair, isn't cheap. If somebody tells you, "Hey, I offer cheap credit repair," it's never cheap, because at some point you're gonna be required to, for example, if it's bad enough and you want to build credit again, even if you remove all the negative items, right? At some point you have to start building, so you have to go after different things. Let's say you start out with a credit card. Well, you might want to start with a secured card. It's gonna cost you at least $500 to get a decent secured card, right? If there's different products and different companies that you can go to, but you might have to purchase a product for them to start reporting on your credit, right? Credit repair isn't cheap, and as much as they sell it as cheap, over time it still costs a lot.
Yeah, over time, yeah. Well, man, we had a lot of information was spilled today.